Hello everyone, let's dive straight into understanding variables in Copilot Studio. The formal definition of a variable is a storage location in your bot's memory that holds a specific piece of information, such as a string, a number, or a boolean, which can be updated or referenced throughout a conversation. In plain everyday English, it is the digital sticky note. Imagine your custom agent is a helpful assistant at a busy hotel. A guest walks up and says, "My name is John." If the assistant doesn't write that down on a sticky note, they'll forget it 5 seconds later when the guest asks for their room key. In Copilot Studio, we create these sticky notes to hold things like a customer's email, their order number, or even the type of coffee they like. Stay with me here because without variables, your bot has short-term memory loss. It would have to ask the same questions over and over again, which drives people crazy. Imagine a dummy example. You are talking to a chatbot about a flight. You tell it you want to go to Paris. That word Paris gets tucked away into a variable named target city. Later on, when the bot asks, "Would you like to see hotels in Paris?" it's just reading back that sticky note it saved earlier. Let's break this down together. We are moving from static conversations to dynamic memory. Now that we've mastered the idea of these digital sticky notes, you might be wondering how we decide who gets to see the information on them, whether the note stays in one conversation or follows the user everywhere. Well, that brings us right into our next step. This brings us to variable scoping, topic versus global. The technical documentation defines variable scoping as the boundary within which a variable is accessible, distinguishing between topic level variables that are limited to a single flow and global variables that persist across the entire session. To speak naturally, it is the privacy fence for your notes. Sometimes you have a piece of info that only matters for a quick task like a temporary confirmation code. You put that on a topic sticky note. Once that specific task is done, the note is thrown away. But things like the user's username or preferred language need to be on a global sticky note that follows them through every single part of the bot. Imagine a dummy example. You are at a large office building. You tell the receptionist your name. That's a global piece of info because everyone in the building needs to know who you are. But if you tell the coffee shop guy you want extra sugar, that's a topic variable. The person in the accounting department doesn't need to know how sweet your coffee is. You've probably noticed at the office how some details are for your eyes only, while others go on the company bulletin board. Scoping is just our way of managing that data traffic. Let's break this down together. We are setting the boundaries of memory. Now that we know how to set these boundaries, you might be wondering how the bot finds this information automatically without even asking the user. Well, that brings us right into our next step. Now we need to talk about contextual persistence and prefilling. The formal definition describes contextual persistence as the ability of an intelligent agent to maintain state by retrieving previously known data from the host environment, such as a website or a login user profile, to prefill variables. In simple everyday English, it's the head start. If you are already logged into your company's portal, the bot shouldn't ask, "What is your employee ID?" It should already know. It reaches into the context of the web page and pulls that ID into a variable automatically. Imagine a dummy example. You walk into your favorite local restaurant where you have been eating for 10 years. The waiter doesn't ask for your name or your address. They say, "Hello Sachin, your usual table is ready." The waiter used contextual persistence to make the experience feel high-end and personal. Stay with me here because this is the difference between a bot that feels like a stupid machine and one that feels like a pro assistant. Let's break this down together. We are eliminating repetitive questions. With the bot now getting a head start on who the user is, you might be wondering what happens when that data is complex, like a whole list of past orders instead of just one name. Well, that brings us right into our next step. This brings us to managing complex data types and tables. The technical documentation defines these as structured variables such as records and tables, which allow the agent to store and manipulate multiple related attributes or collections of items within a single variable name. In plain language, it is the digital filing cabinet. Sometimes a simple sticky note isn't enough. If a user has 5 different items in their shopping cart, You don't want 5 separate variables. You want one table variable that holds all of them together. Imagine a dummy example. You are organizing a big family reunion. Instead of having 50 separate pieces of paper with everyone's phone number, you have one address book. That address book is your complex variable. You can look through it, count the names, or find a specific person's email without losing track of the rest. You've probably seen this at the office when you look at an Excel sheet instead of 1,000 separate Word docs. It's just a cleaner way to keep things organized. Let's break this down together. We are upgrading from notes to systems. Now that we have our filing cabinet organized, you might be wondering how we keep this information safe when the user closes the window and comes back tomorrow. Well, that brings us right into our next step. Let's dive into external persistence and Dataverse integration. The formal definition describes external persistence as the process of saving variable data to an external database like Microsoft Dataverse to ensure that the information survives across different sessions or even different days. To put it very simply, it is the permanent record. Sticky notes can fall off and filing cabinets can be emptied, but writing something in the company ledger means it stays forever. When your bot saves a user's service request into the Dataverse, it's not just in the bot's head anymore. It's a permanent part of the business. Imagine a dummy example. You go to a bank to open a savings account. The clerk doesn't just remember your balance. They type it into the bank's main computer system. If that clerk goes on vacation or if the bank closes for the night, your money is still there in the system when you return. Let's break this down together. We are making memory permanent. Now that we have made our memory permanent, the final piece of the puzzle is how we check our work, how we see what the bot is thinking in real time to make sure the variables are working correctly. Well, that brings us right into our next step. Finally, we reach debugging and monitoring variable state. This technical area focuses on using the variable watch window during testing to observe how data changes as the conversation flows, ensuring that logic conditions are met and data is being stored accurately. In our relaxed classroom tone, it simply means the X-ray vision for your bot. When you are testing your agent, you can open a special window that shows you exactly what is written on every sticky note in real time. If the bot calls the user guest instead of Sachin, you can look at your X-ray and see exactly where the name got lost. Let's break this down together. As builders, we are the architects of conversational accuracy. We've looked at the digital sticky note, the privacy fence, the head start, the digital filing cabinet, the permanent record, and finally the X-ray vision. We've mastered managing variables and contextual persistence. You now know how to give your AI a brain that remembers, learns, and stays sharp. Well, that brings us right into our next chapter.